that time period, 50,000 years ago, during that time period, if a man had sex with a lot of women, it didn't hurt him, and the likelihood of his genes getting passed on was higher. A woman having sex with the wrong man was terrible, so women have what's called an underperception bias. Guys can be very attracted to women. You've probably seen this before, where she's like, "Oh, we're going on my friend John's boat," and I'm like, "Yeah, John wants to fuck you. That's why you're going on his boat." And she's like, "No, John isn't like that. He's just like a brother." And I'm like, "No, no, no. John is just trying to smash." She's like, "No, you should come out with us." I'm like, "No, John doesn't want me to come out with you. I have a penis. John wants to have sex with you. That's the only reason he's bringing you on the boat." And she doesn't see it. Why is it she doesn't see it? Partially, but sometimes girls play dumb. They know, but a lot of times they're doing it because they have a general underperception bias. Men, on the other hand, it's really funny. They do some experiments. They take a man and a woman who have neutral facial expressions towards each other. They're studying for a test. They show this to a bunch of students in a psychology classroom. The woman is of average physical attractiveness, and they ask the men and the women, how likely is she interested in having sex with him? The women put it at around like 15, 20%, the men at like 60%. So the men automatically overperceive that she's interested in him sexually just because of their genetics, high levels of testosterone, etc. When they make the woman more attractive, they put makeup on her, you can see cleavage, and she looks more physically attractive. Then they ask the same students the same question. Now men, it's like the 80s or 90 percentile that they believe she's sexually attracted. The women are the same. It's not only that men overperceive that women are attracted to them or overperceive anything women do as an invitation for sex. By the way, that whole mismatch, evolutionary mismatch, is the whole reason for OnlyFans, whole reason for Instagram, the whole reason for strip clubs. That overperception not only exists with men, but the more attractive a woman is, the more likely men are to mischaracterize her behavior. Safeway did this one experiment. They did this one thing where they required their cashiers to say, "Hey, Mr. Smith, thank you for shopping at Safeway." When a male cashier said, "Hey, Mr. Smith," to another male customer, no problem. When a female cashier said it to another female, no problem. When a male cashier said it to another female, no problem. When female cashiers smiled, looked at the man and say, "Thank you, Mr. Smith, for shopping at Safeway," often men were following the female cashiers into the parking lot after they got off work, waiting for them after they got work to ask them out on dates. Men, it was such a problem that Safeway had to stop this practice because men were constantly over-perceiving this. Remember the other thing we talked about at the very beginning, social media, the software update that's happening, it's causing it so that this bottom group of men is getting less and less and less attention, and more attention is being shot over here to the higher status group of men. They're at the party with Travis Scott, and they're at the Drake party or whatever. These men over here that are at these huge Hollywood parties, these men have 14, 21, 50 women a week asking them on dates, and this bottom third of men haven't had sex in 3 or 4 years. That's where we're getting. In fact, there's some data that shows somewhere between the bottom quarter and the bottom third of men are either have had one sexual partner or none in the last year. And we're talking about men we're just saying men under the age of 35. And I'm extrapolating because there's several different pieces of data. I think it's 28% of men under the age of 30 are virgins. And I think under the age of 30, men who haven't had sex in the last year, I can't remember what it is, but it's a number around somewhere between 18 and 25%, somewhere around there. So let's just say, even though you've had sex one time in the last year, that you don't have women solved, and maybe you hired a prostitute, whatever. So let's say this bottom third of men are not doing very well. The median man has had 5 sexual partners in his life. 5. Okay, so that means 50% above and 50% below that man. If you're in the top 5%, you've had 50 sexual partners. So we go 0 or 1, 5, and now we're up to 50. The top 1% of men, 150 sexual partners. So 0, 1, 5, 50, 150. This is what it looks like for the body count for men. Okay? For women, the top 5% is 18 sexual partners. 18, but for men, it's 50. For women, the top 1%, 35 sexual partners. Dude, I know 100 girls at 35 that work in Vegas. 35 is the top 1% for women. Now, we can probably guess that women are probably underreporting the number of sexual partners they have, but it's still not 150. Yeah. The median man, his desire for sexual variety puts him in the top 1% of women.
What is the median man?
The median man is, so if you were to stratify the number of so if we were to give you a survey, anonymous survey, and say, how many sexual partners would you wish to have before you died? And men will answer somewhere between 5, 20, some guys will say 100. Whatever the number is, they average it out, and whatever the median man says, meaning 50% above, 50% below, that would put him, let's just say it's 20, that would put him in the top 1% of women. The most promiscuous women only want 20 sexual partners, whereas the median man wants that. And why is it? It's because men have 17 times as much testosterone as women. And one of the things we define in our program is the very clear, ingrained, and innate sex differences between men and women that society in general, and big tech specifically, doesn't want people to talk about. They don't want to express to you that men and women are different. And the more, by the way, the more egalitarian a country becomes, this is a really interesting study, again, done by Dr. David Buss of UT Austin. When they looked at egalitarian societies, meaning like Norway, Sweden, Finland, some of these Scandinavian countries, where women are enrolled in college more than men and make about the same as men, where the laws favor women more in some of these instances, in those countries, those women actually, instead of pursuing men who made less money and were shorter and had fewer alpha qualities, they actually looked for more masculine men. Meaning, as women make more money, they want men who make even more money. On average, it's about 1.6. So if a woman makes 100 grand a year, on average, when women are surveyed, they want about a man who makes about 60% more than them. And so you would think as women become wealthier, Rihanna was making hundreds of millions of dollars. Who was she dating? A billionaire. Yeah. She needed someone who made even more money than her. Sure. These concepts of hypergamy are something that I have to explain often to my clients because they've been brainwashed because of what big tech, Disney, the church, and their parents have told them about how the world is supposed to be. Things are supposed to be fair. Everything is just like that movie Hitch with Will Smith, where you just give all your attention to one girl and just show her that you love her, and then she just loves you back. And yes, and that's the way the world works, and it's all fair, and good guys get good girls, and that's what they want you to believe. And of course, we know that isn't true. You live in the world for any period of time, and you just understand, like you were a good guy who makes a good living and treats your woman well, and she leaves you for Brock the bartender, and you can't figure out why because you never took the time to figure out social dynamics. You just believed in a myth that somebody told you.